GM. Hello, James.
Hey Charlie, how's things?
Doing well, thank you. And hello to everyone also joining us today for our fourth Power Hour session, which is all going to be on smart money, how you can track smart money and also become smart money using Nansen. Drop your GMs in the chat. It's really great to have you all here. I hope despite the market conditions over the last week or so, you are all crushing it and your bags are looking great. But let's crack right into it. So the agenda for today is we're going to be discussing a little bit more about what smart money is, how Nansen labels smart money wallets, why you should care about it, and how tracking smart money yourself can help you to become a better crypto investor in 2025. We're going to be looking at a number of smart money features and smart money wallets together as well. And James and I are going to give you some little tips and tricks about how you can use some of these features to become smart money yourself. So, quick intro on myself before I pass it over to James. So I've been with Nansen for about 3 years now. I lead growth for investors. I work with many of these smart money investors that use Nansen day in, day out. I also work with a lot of Nansen's affiliates as well. So working with a wide range of investors from liquid funds, venture funds, high net worth individuals to help them get more value out of their on-chain subscriptions. I have been in the crypto space since late 2016 as an investor and have been working with smart money investors for the last 5 years or so. So very excited to be able to share some of the insights that I've learned on my crypto journey with you all today. But James, over to you, mate. A quick background on yourself and then I'll take things over again.
Thank you very much, Charlie. My name is James. I am a community manager for the Alpha Discord. And on top of that, I'm a CSM for a lot of our pro users. So like Charlie, I spend a lot of time helping our pro users, our funds get onboarded to Nansen, speed run their journey to becoming a Nansen pro. And that's why I should be able to help you today, speed run your journey. So hopefully we can share some good stuff here. Looking forward to this one, Charlie. Great to be back. And I'll pass it back to you, Charlie. Thank you very much.
Nice. Thank you, James. Basically, to summarize James's job, he helps alpha community members to become smart money themselves. So he'll have a lot to share with you all. But okay, so you'll see a little QR code up in the corner as well. And very excited to share that if you scan this QR code and if you leave your Telegram handle on the Luma registration, we're actually giving away 5 1-month Pioneer subscriptions to really help you on your journey to become smart money yourself. So be sure to scan that. Be sure to drop your Telegram in there and one of our team members will reach out. Also, what's very exciting is that we'll actually be sharing some smart money addresses with you in Telegram as well. So essentially some smart money homework of 5 to 10 addresses that James and I really like to track ourselves in our personal crypto investing journey. So be sure to give that a scan. Be sure to drop your Telegram in there and our team will be in touch. So if this is your first webinar, we are doing these sessions monthly. I'm just going to share my screen in just a moment to show you how you can access some of the past webinars that we've done as well. We recently hosted another one on investing like a crypto fund in 2025, where we tracked a lot of smart money funds and interesting fund activity. So we also covered some meme coin Solana activity as well. So that should come up in just a moment. Takes a little while, the first screen share, but otherwise you can find it on our YouTube channel under the live tab Here we go. That has now come up. So you'll see the video recording to this here. Feel free to send this to anyone that you think might be interested in tracking smart money data as well. And here you can catch up on some of the past webinars. We've also just gone live with a bunch of essentially Nansen 101 guides. So if you're new to Nansen and potentially what we cover today might be a little bit too advanced and you want some of the basics, definitely worth checking this out as some extra homework as well. And then once we send over those 5 to 10 addresses after submitting your Telegram, it's all going to fall into place a lot better. And ideally, you'll be able to grow your portfolios using Nansen over the rest of this market cycle. Okay, so I am going to bring up my Nansen screen now. Hopefully we can see this all right. James, is it all looking okay for you?
All good on my side.
All good on your side. Great. Let's crack into it. So for those of you that aren't familiar with Nansen already, Nansen is an on-chain analytics tool that helps people to find their edge in the markets and helps investors to grow their portfolios as well. So it's really a tool that's used by everyone from retail investors, people that are more crypto hobbyists, all the way to the most sophisticated fund managers and smart money investors. So we're going to show you some little tips and tricks today on how you can use it more as a retail individual and also more as a smart money investor yourself so that you can become smart money. Really, people use Nansen for 3 things. The first is around discovery. So finding some of these smart money addresses that we're going to track today. Then also to find token opportunities. Then it's also about doing due diligence. So now that you have found an address or you have found an interesting token, how can you actually know if that is a good opportunity or an address that you might want to track? Then also once you've done due diligence, it can also be very, very helpful to help to defend your positions as well, to know when to sell in the markets at the right time. So Nansen has a number of different features that allow you to essentially achieve these discovery, due diligence, and defense-based workflows. But really the secret sauce to Nansen is in the wallet labeling. So if any of you have looked at like Etherscan or another explorer before, you'll know that an address is like OX, blah, 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 if it's EVM related or slightly different format for Solana. But you actually don't know who's behind that address, right? You don't know if it's like a KOL or a fund manager or a fund or even like what they do on chain. You don't know if they're a really profitable DEX trader. You don't know if they're like the best NFT flipper in the world. And that's really what Nansen allows you to do. You can be in the know of when a fund is buying, of when another smart money investor is buying. And that's really the real secret sauce. So we have 350 million wallets labeled across a number of different chains, including EVM and Solana. We've just gone live with Bearer Chain and Unichain over the last sort of 2 weeks. And we had the analytics live for day 1 of mainnet. So Nansen had analytics on those chains, which you couldn't then find anywhere else. But what's very special within those 350 million wallets that are labeled is the concept of smart money, represented by this little nerd emoji here. And we have 6,000 smart money wallets, and it includes the most profitable on-chain investors and also funds. And this is really going to be the focus of today. We're going to be diving into what smart money are doing on-chain using some of Nansen's different features. Okay, so that's a little bit about what smart money is. We have a dedicated team at Nansen. Essentially their whole job is to label these smart money wallets, and they label wallets using some of Nansen's proprietary P&L data, so understanding how profitable certain addresses are. But we also have a team of individuals that are basically manually tagging addresses of very profitable KOLs and funds. And I have this report here, which you can, which we'll link in the chat, but it will explain a little bit more about how our wallet labeling works, what some of the different emojis are, and some of the different smart money labels as well. We have heaps of different labels that Nansen applies to these different wallets, and this is going to help you to understand the difference between some of the different smart monies and other labels that we'll cover today. All right, so let's actually take a look at the Smart Money tab. There are 3 features that are the most loved by Nansen users. The first is the Smart Money dashboard, which allows you to zoom into what Smart Money are doing on chain. Then there's Token God mode, which allows you to zoom into a specific token. And you can also see what Smart Money are doing on that particular token, if they're adding more to their positions, exiting their positions, etc. And then also it's Profiler, which is how you can zoom into a specific address to understand a bit more about, are they smart money? Are they not? Are they a fund? Are they a KOL? What is their P&L, etc. So this Smart Money tab here has 3 different ways to look at it. The first is a leaderboard, which is essentially a P&L leaderboard of who are the most profitable of this smart money aggregate of the 6,000 wallets that we have. So really, it answers who is the 1% of the 1%. Here we have this is really helpful to discover some addresses so that you can potentially follow in their footsteps yourself. Because if they've been super profitable in the past, that might potentially suggest they're going to be very profitable in the future. Maybe they have access to information that we don't have as investors ourselves. And then you can use Nansen to know in real time when they're buying, selling. You can get alerts sent to your Telegram, your Discord, so that you can then, again, do exactly what they're doing on chain. So here we have a leaderboard, which can be viewed as a scatter plot, where you can see some of the real outliers, like the people that are really, really making money compared to others. And we then also have the table view, which can be broken down by 7 days, 30 days, 90 days, or 180 days. So our smart money calculations, or how we label these wallets, is based on these different columns here. So it's largely based on the realized P&L. So when people are like cashing out their positions, how much money have they actually made? But we do also factor in the ROI, their win rate as well. So essentially the percentage of the trades that they are profitable, and also the number of trades as well. And you can really find the addresses that are more in line with your trading strategy by applying some of these different labels here. So here I can select, maybe I just want to track what funds are doing on chain. Who are the most profitable funds over the last 90 days? And I can filter by that and see a bunch of these different addresses here: Sigil Fund, Blockchain Capital, Longling Capital, etc. And without Nansen, you'd have no idea that these addresses are actually from a fund. And these funds often have dedicated investment teams, people making they're educated in essentially making as much money for their investors as they possibly can. But I personally don't just use the fund label. We've followed funds a bit in past webinars, but we can look at some of these other date range labels as well. So we have 180-day smart trader, 30-day smart trader, 90-day smart trader, and all of them tend to invest in crypto in slightly different ways. So a 30-day DEX trader has made all of their money in the last 30 days, where the 180-day trader has made their money over a much longer time period. So generally the 30-day smart traders tend to be quite a lot more degen. They tend to be more open to taking riskier positions, where it's much harder to do that over a longer time period, right? So maybe they just had the best trading month of their life, but are they then going to be able to replicate that over a longer time horizon? I don't know. It's definitely harder. So depending on if you're looking for degen stuff or if you're looking for more sophisticated, longer term horizon investors, you might choose to apply different labels here. And if we look at some of these addresses, looks like this guy has made 28 mil on DEXs over the last 90 days, and he's only made 150 trades to achieve that. I don't know what all of your P&L looks like. I wish my P&L looks anything like this, but there's some interesting addresses in here that, like Powell is also quite an interesting individual that I've been monitoring for some time. And you can hover over their label to see, like to interpret a bit more about their activity elsewhere on chain. So here I can see like this guy is a new token specialist, and he's in the top 100 on the Trump leaderboard. But he's also a 30-day, 90-day, and 180-day trader. So he's making money across like all different time periods, and that's quite interesting. So we'll dive a bit deeper into actually like analyzing some of these wallets, how you can then track their activity in a moment. But the idea just behind showing you this is that you can use this feature to surface the 1% of the 1%. So that's very helpful for finding the addresses in the first place. But maybe you just care more about what tokens smart money are trading. What are they buying? What are they selling? Buy activity is represented in the green, and the sell activity is represented in the red. Here I can filter tokens by certain sectors. Maybe I'm just playing in the AI space, or maybe I'm just interested in tracking what the 180-day traders are doing compared to some of the more degen individuals. I can also filter by chains here as well. So given that we launched like Chain and Unichain recently, you might choose to select those compared to some of the others. You can also play around with different like market cap size, depending on if you're like playing in a higher risk environment compared to like larger market cap assets. But I personally use my start my day. I will make my cup of coffee in the morning and I will check this table here. What are smart money buying today? Because it essentially delivers alpha directly to you. If smart money are buying things, maybe they know some market alpha that I personally don't know myself. Also, to build conviction around certain tokens, I also love to see what smart money are holding. So let's just see what smart money are holding on base at the moment. And if I just jump back to top tokens, here we can see Aero, which is a token we'll come back to, and Virtual seem to be the two top tokens on base. And this can feed into my decision making on what are the tokens on base that I might want to hold for a longer time horizon. I can then also filter by the different sectors, the different labels as well, and potentially newer tokens if I'm looking for more degen activity. The third tab, the trades tab, is basically a way to see what smart money are buying and selling live. We've actually just seen the Kaito token go live over the last probably hour and 20 minutes. So it's really interesting to see what smart money investors are doing on Kaito. And I can filter this to see, I wonder if people are like selling this, and we can see if there are any specific, we've actually got Alex Svanovic, Nansen's CEO, has actually sold some of his Kaito, which is quite interesting to see. So without using Nansen, I would have no idea that this is our CEO who is doing this. But I can then also take a look at who might be buying Kaito as well, to see there's some smart traders here. It looks like there's some activity, but nothing too crazy. So given that this is like a new token, I might choose to continue to monitor this over the next little while. So let's take a look at two tokens together. So we've had a look at the smart money tabs. Now we might be more interested in seeing what smart money are doing with a certain token. And I've noticed two pretty bullish looking charts over the last little while. One being Euler, and the other being Aero. So the price chart hasn't looked too flash, but Nansen's data does indeed look quite interesting. So Euler being quite like a blue chip on Ethereum, or it's been around for quite some time now. It's always interesting to me to see two funds that are buying Euler in the last 7 days. One buying 142K and another buying 34K. A nice little feature that we've just launched recently is I can click on this button here to then see exactly when they are entering or exiting their position. So these buys, it looks like they're making quite a lot of buys in like the same candle. But the size of the bubble suggests how large the purchase is. So this means like a transfer out. So it looks like they've been buying, transferring out, buying some more, transferring out, and the price has started to increase a bit lately. So I can look at what all of smart money are doing on this specific token, and we can see the total balance across these wallets in the dark blue, and then I can see the total number of unique holders in the light blue. So this looks quite bullish over the last month, right? We've seen a big spike compared to anything that we've seen prior. And we're seeing like CMT Digital, Apollo Capital, who are some pretty big holders on this token, add more to their positions. So another token that I'll share before I pass this over to James to share some more is Aero. So here, if I take a look over at the Smart Money tab, this is also looking bullish. I really like to use this chart as a bit of a pulse check, because if a lot of smart money investors are feeling confident about this token, that can also play into my conviction. So here we can see like DACM, who are a fund, also Borderless Capital and Block Tower Capital, all adding to their positions over the last 30 days with no exits over the same time period. So I really like to use this smart money as a bit of a way to help me build conviction over a longer time horizon. So I've covered some more like blue chip stuff like Aero. Everyone's super familiar with Aero, but I know James wants to dive into some more like meme coin related activity, specifically on fart coin, I believe. So I'm going to pause here and I will let James take over the screen instead.
Hey, Charlie, thank you very much for that. Yes, I'm going to share a bit about how you can approach the due diligence stage, focusing on smart money in token God mode. So I'm just going to share my screen, which will take a second to come in. So let's actually go to the home page. Apologies. So just to give a bit of context here, so Charlie has really given us an overview of, let's say, a lot of discovery workflows, and then brought us into token God mode, where we tend to do a lot more due diligence. You know, we've now specified a token that we might be interested. In this case, it's something more high risk, more degen, like Farcoin, the most hated coin in the TradFi world, funnily enough. But here's how we might approach using token God mode to get a bit of insights into what smart money is doing with Farcoin. So over here, we have the who bought, who sold widget. Like Charlie shared earlier, we can click on this and get an overview of what smart money has been doing. And I'm focusing on the past 7 days here. So I can then go into who sold, and if we compare, let's say, between who bought, who sold, there seems to be a lot more smart money sellers recently. And one in particular is this guy. So they seem to have a lot of inflows here, possibly looking for a momentum trade, something like that, trying to catch a falling knife. And unfortunately, they got burned, but they cut here. What is interesting is when I go into this wallet is they've actually no more Farcoin left to sell. So this was the biggest seller over the past, let's say, 7 days. And it looks like they have tired out here. It's not necessarily a bullish sign. There could be more sellers on the sideline, but it's positive to see that the biggest sellers do not have more to sell. That's a simple way of putting it. So from here, I'm going to share some more on smart money, and we're going to jump into the P&L leaderboard. And just for context here, the P&L leaderboard gives you an overview of the traders that had the biggest P&L with Fartcoin. And we can rank them by either realized P&L or unrealized P&L. And on top of that, we can filter simply just by smart money. Oh, sorry. So I've also ranked by the top unrealized P&L holders, and we see a couple of interesting addresses here. And over here, we can see how much of their stack do they still have left. So this address here, the deployer of the OROKT token, actually has 60% of their stack left, which is actually a bullish sign. But if we jump down another row, we see Sigil Fund. And Sigil Fund, I actually was looking into the other day because they withdrew about 500K of Farcoin liquidity and deposited their entire 1.7 million stack to the Gate exchange, Gate.io exchange, which is actually a bearish sign. And Sigil is a fund that we've shown in previous Power Hour sessions and previous webinars, and they have been extremely successful on chain. So this is not necessarily something we want to see either, especially since it was only recently. Another way we can approach looking at smart money, if we want to get an overview of, let's say, the biggest smart money accumulators, and let's say the people that have removed their position in the last while, we can go into the balances tab. And again, I've filtered by the smart money label. So we are only looking at smart money addresses here. If I remove that label, I can see all holders, but we want to focus on smart money today. So over the last 30 days, we see this address, which is quite interesting. They have accumulated almost 0.5% of the Farcoin supply within the last 30 days. Nothing, though, it's notable to note, nothing within the last 24 hours to 7 days. So we can safely assume that they are currently holding a unrealized loss in Farcoin, but they haven't touched their position since. If we were to flip this round, oh, actually, one other thing is good to touch on here. Here we can see their win rate, the win rate here, and we can also see their realized P&L here, which is quite useful when you are trying to figure out how smart is this address. So we actually see a lot of addresses here with high P&Ls, which is nice to see. The win rates are not as strong, but let's take a look at people that are exiting positions. Again, we see some similar stuff here. Large realized P&Ls, win rates not as strong. Definitely some good addresses in here. Something I also tend to look for is what is their current balance? Let's say, is this wallet still active? Because if they have $10 million in realized P&L, but there's only 10K, the wallet only has 10K net worth. The wallet only has 10K net worth. That is a sign that they're maybe closing up this wallet and moving onto a new wallet. But from here, another thing I might like to show is our smart money tab itself. So this smart money tab is solely focused on smart money and what they're doing. The way I would interpret this chart is that we have periods here, or at least since December, the start of December, when smart money started exiting all of their Farcoin. And this is, funnily enough, around the time that Bitcoin set a new all-time high, I think around 108K at the time. Since then, the market has been down only, and smart money has just been getting out increasingly. So here, this is an interesting one though. The darker blue line is total smart money balance. The lighter blue line up here is the total number of holders. As we see the total number of holders decrease and the smart money balance stay relatively around the same level, I tend to interpret that as a lot of the larger smart money holders are actually staying in. They are holding through, and we have smaller smart money holders exiting their positions here. So I actually tend to see this as something that might be a sign that Farcoin is coming close to a bottom. This is not financial advice, of course, and we are in the last, let's say, 2 weeks seeing another leg down in smart money holdings. So maybe we're not quite at the bottom yet, but to me, at least, I would interpret this as a good sign. We would like to see this bottom out soon. And for me, I don't think Farcoin is dead, especially since we saw there are still a lot of smart money holding with size and even buying over the last week. So one other one I would like to show that actually has a similar smart money chart is Doge AI. And if we see here, the Doge AI holdings have remained pretty much the exact same from about the 23rd of January to about now. There might be, let's say, it's not even, I don't think it's even 5% difference as of today, at least. But at the same time, we saw a lot of holders, the number of holders actually decrease. And again, that to me is a sign that the largest smart money holders are holding their position, but we see a lot of smaller whales or smaller smart money holders exiting, which to me is a bullish sign because generally whales tend to know more than, let's say, the smaller fish. Another interesting thing we might be able to spot here is over the last 7 days, there actually hasn't been that many sellers of Doge AI, but here we see quite a few buyers. And let's see what 45.sol is doing. So interesting, they bought right in here and they timed it quite nicely. Even after buying the top here, they have continued to buy the dip. So they're pretty bullish here. And maybe one useful tip that I would have here is I often go in and analyze the addresses that I see buying into a dip like this, because I want to know how useful is this information? How strong is that signal? Is this actually a good address? Should I consider this as a buy signal for myself? And so I've jumped into the profiler here, and I'm now specifically looking at the 45.sol wallet. And when I come down here, I immediately see that over the past 90 days, they had some insane trades. Griffin, they had about a $6 million realized profit. Max was another big one, and then some other smaller ones down here. So this is largely impressive. With a win rate of 38%, it's not a strong win rate, but clearly when you're getting gains like $5 million or 1,500%, your win rate can be, let's say, not, your win rate isn't as important. So maybe last thing I'll do here is just check. I'm able to check as well their unrealized losses and, of course, their realized losses. And I can do this on multiple time frames as well. Maybe I'm more interested in what they're doing over the last 30 days. But I think 90 days gives us a reasonable idea of how they've performed in recent times. So they actually have 86K unrealized on Doge. And they have some pretty large unrealized losses here. So they probably bought and held down to the bottom. But their realized gains far outweigh their unrealized losses. So to me, I still see this as quite a strong wallet and something that interests me. Another wallet I might show you, and there's a reason I'm interested in this wallet, is one that I've picked out, and we can share this through the Telegram. If you've added your Telegram name, these are the kind of wallets we'll be able to share with you. And basically, the reason I've picked out this wallet is because over the last 30 days, it's the only wallet to have a greater than 65% win rate, and also over $1 million in realized P&L. So despite the market underperforming, this guy has still been able to make profitable trades, which is pretty impressive. And actually, one of them seems to be Doge AI. So if I take a look here, so see here, 67% win rate in the last 30 days and a realized P&L of 1.2 million. Average ROI per trade was 1,343%. This is a strong wallet. Now, it doesn't, its profits, its actual profit size is not as big as some of the other wallets that are 10, $20 million of profit, but these are still extremely strong wallets. As Charlie says, I don't know about your P&L, but currently my P&L does not have 1.2 million in realized gains. So these are the kind of addresses we'll be able to share with you. These are the kind of addresses we'll be able to share with you if you give us your Telegram. And maybe one last thing I would like to share is on hot contracts, because I did see a couple of people in the chat speaking about hot contracts. So I don't mind giving, let's say, an idea of how I use hot contracts. And I use it for a very specific reason. So just to give you a bit of background on hot contracts, you can look at DEX contracts, liquidity pools, staking, multi-sigs, tokens, NFTs, and bridges. But I specifically use it to find new liquidity pools. And I want to find liquidity pools that are only 7 days old with a TVL of greater, in this case, 1.25 million. And TVL in this case, by the way, because they're liquidity pools, TVL is equivalent to a liquidity pool. And I've set it to 1.25 million. Why have I done that? The way I approach it is if I'm not getting enough results, if I only get 1 or 2 results here, especially during times when markets are down, I will reduce my TVL parameter. So I'll bring that down to even 1 million, even let's say during the bear market or a downtime after March and May last year, I moved this down to 500K. But let's say 2 months ago, I might have had this up at 2 mil. So that's just a bit of context on why I picked those parameters. And what this has now shown me is, okay, we see broccoli. I'm pretty sure we all know why broccoli, there's lots of broccoli tokens here, but one that interests me, and it's the only launch meeting these parameters on base in the last week, is Frock. And I was going through hot contracts the other day. I actually save it to my dashboard so I can check this daily, and I saw Frock. And I thought, okay, it's the only base token that's launched recently. There are some smart wallets we can see over here. And it's got decent TVL. So what is this token? You know, why is the only one on base showing up? So I go into it and I actually see that Coinbase wallet use it, possibly even created it in a tutorial. And let me just share this. So we see here, hopefully you can see my screen. Yeah. So we see Coinbase wallet created this and was, I wouldn't say shilling it, but was borderline, or let's say promoting the wallet and using Frock as an example, which is kind of bullish for Frock. And I actually shared it in the Alpha Discord, and I believe someone caught it 2x at the time, which is pretty nice, especially given the current market conditions. So I think hopefully that gives you an idea of how you can use hot contracts, how you can approach token God mode and smart money. And from here, I'll actually wrap it up and pass it back over to you, Charlie. Charlie's just spawning in now.
Nice. Thank you, James. Much appreciated. I also spotted some interesting things on Frock, actually. And it's always quite unique when you see a company like Coinbase, who often have quite like rigid compliance structures where they generally can't comment on tokens at all, for them to be sharing like essentially a webinar about a specific token is always quite interesting, especially when you then see that potentially on Twitter, and you then also see smart money inflow on Nansen, which I found on our token screener, which I'll show you in just a moment once the screen comes up. But yeah, the hot contracts that James was just sharing is one of the many benefits of joining the professional subscription, where you get complete access to the Nansen on-chain platform and also the alpha community, which is where James was sharing that he posted the Frock token and someone got a nice 2x out of it. So alpha community is actually where a lot of Nansen's smart money investors discuss the markets, they share opportunities, they build conviction alongside Nansen's analysts, alongside James and myself, to really win together. But just waiting for my screen to load. It's just taking a little while before I show you some more. But there we go. That is now started. So we have the tokens page here, which is one of my favorite ways to discover token opportunities. And I quite like this new DEX volume by sector, by chain little widget that we've launched. It allows me to easily see how tokens are moving between different narratives. So I can then potentially filter by the sector down here based on where a lot of the money is flowing. So I've enjoyed seeing this, but back to the original point around Frock, I noticed it here after filtering the chain by base. One thing that's a little bit confusing is the chain filter is up here. So just be conscious of that, because you can actually select up to like 20 different chains to find some of these tokens. And if we see here, this is currently ordered by smart money inflows over the last 24 days. So it's 24 hours. So it's giving me a list of tokens that are potentially tokens that I might want to look at, such as Frock. And to see here that there are 14 smart money traders, it shows that like amongst Clanker, amongst Kaito, etc., maybe this is one that might jump out at me compared to some of these other tokens here that have much or far fewer smart money traders. So what's quite unique as well is this custom view feature, where you can actually change the smart money like column header here, depending on what you're after. And I really like to use this because everyone has different trading strategies in crypto, right? And some people really love to look at inflows and outflows. Some people love to look at the inflow compared to the FDV. And I personally like to do this to see, like, of the current supply, how many, what percentage of that is smart money based? Like, are smart money scooping up essentially everything that they can? So you can really play around with this. It's completely customized for yourself, depending on what you're after, but it's just another way that you can discover this alpha using Nansen. Otherwise, I also noticed on trending on Nansen, I also really like to use this for discovery purposes. So here I can basically get into the minds of what other Nansen users are looking at on the platform. And it's broken down by free, pioneer, and professional users. So one could argue that potentially there's going to be more smart money investors on professional than there would be on pioneer or free. So I often like to take a look at this to see, are there tokens in here, maybe new tokens represented by this little sprout emoji that I might like to look into. One of them we've looked at already today being Euler, but here again we have Frock being viewed by pioneer users, and we also have Frock being viewed by free users. So again, when you can bridge the on-chain universe using Nansen and the off-chain by discovering that little video alpha that James found from Coinbase Wallet. Potentially that could all help you to form conviction or a thesis around buying or selling a certain token. So I like to use this across like different time periods as well. It actually looks like Frock is number 1 on the 24-hour viewed by free users. So potentially they're seeing something that professionals aren't, and maybe professional users are seeing something with this new token, IMG, that maybe free users, or well, they seem to be doing a little bit, but maybe less so. So I really like to use this to give me those initial light bulb moments of what I might like to look into on Nansen. Okay, so James, I know you wanted to share a little bit around setting up alerts very quickly on Nansen. I know we'll spend about 10 minutes on Q&A, so I think we've got maybe 2 to 3 minutes to show some quick tips and tricks of how you can be notified of buy, sell activity in your Telegram or Discord. So even if you're on the go, you've just got your phone, you can still have the alpha delivered directly to you. So I'll hand it over to you quickly. And just before I do that, just one last little reminder of the registration form. So we will display a little QR code up in one of the corners. If you scan this, if you leave your Telegram handle in that form, we'll be in touch and give you 5 to 10 smart money addresses that James and I are often tracking. And also, you can go in the draw to win one of 5 Pioneer seats for free for 1 month. So definitely worth putting your Telegram in there, and we will be in touch. But over to you quickly, James.
Thank you very much, Charlie. My screen should be popping up in a second. So what I'm going to be discussing is basically two ways to approach tracking smart money via alerts. The first one is via token transfers, and by the way, both of these alerts are in our advanced section. But let's say in token transfers, you can actually, let's say if you want to find out anytime any smart money address receives a large sum of tokens. So let's say sorry, just to jump back there. I've used the Nansen labels in the to field, and I've added the smart money label. So anytime any smart money address receives, let's say 100K of a token. So we're going to look for, let's say, maybe more high signal stuff. I will receive an alert. And let's say if I'm getting too many alerts, there's 2 ways to approach it. I can either up this and maybe make it 200K, but maybe then I'm only going to get tokens that are large market caps. Another way I can approach it is I can exclude addresses that are giving me a lot of noise. So as my alerts come in, I can find, okay, this address, and this address are giving me too much noise. I'm going to plug them into here, and now I'm going to remove those addresses. And what this allows you to do is customize a smart money inflow alert, and it gives you flexibility to increase your signal while reducing noise. So that's just a little tip here. And you are able, if you find a single, let's say we send out to you the 10 smart money addresses, let's say you go through them and you like them, you can actually fill them in here too, just by using this. So the second one, and I'll keep this quick, is this is about inflow volumes and outflow volumes. So this doesn't matter how many smart money addresses there are. It doesn't matter, let's say, it doesn't matter how many smart money addresses there are. It could be 1, it could be 2. But let's say if we select inflow and select 200K, which I think is a good way to approach it, I'm going to get an alert every time there's $200,000 of a token going into smart money addresses within an hour. And this can be really good for tracking, let's say, newer tokens. This is what I've been using it for lately. You can use this for more blue chip stuff, but I've been using it for newer tokens, and I generally set the market cap. It can be anywhere from 50 to 100 mil to 150 mil. To reduce those larger caps coming in, because again, I'm using this right now for smaller cap and newer tokens. And if I'm focused on a specific sector, I can pick it in here. Or if I want to exclude a certain sector, I can pick it in here. So just the final recap is, let's say 5, it doesn't matter how many, it could be 5 wallets, it could be 10 smart money wallets, it could be 1 smart money wallet. As long as $200,000 of a specific tokens comes into smart money wallets, you will receive an alert for that token. So I'll leave it there and we can jump into questions. Hopefully you guys can play around with this now, set it up and see how it goes for you. I highly recommend, if you are getting too many alerts, tighten your parameters, and hopefully that will increase, again, the idea is to increase signal while reducing noise. Okay, Charlie, I think we can move on to the questions now. Charlie will be dropping in a second. Hey, Charlie.
Nice. Thank you, James. Just really quickly before we crack into the questions, I wanted to share that at the start of this, we showed how you can access some of the old video recordings, the webinars that we have. We also have a affiliate community as well, or a community of affiliates that are creating content on Nansen. We will drop the links to some of their creators in the chat for you to follow them, for you to learn from them. Some of them will also include discount codes as well to Nansen, so keep an eye out for them. But just to shout out a few of them, Elon Money, he's been creating some really great content that's using the token screener here. We can see Doge AI at the very top, which we covered today. We also have Chris Park, who's just created a new Twitter channel. He's a former global equity quant and the CSO at Ignite Capital. It's always really interesting to tap into the minds of how these experts use Nansen. We also have Director V here, who's writing up a bit of a thesis around the Trump play. So very interesting to see wallets with 10 mil in realized gains here. And last but not least, we have like an AI agent account called Pumpy here, which just kicked off this week. So creating a lot of content using Nansen's data. So definitely keep an eye out for these creators, and we'll continue to shout out others in future calls. But let's move on to the Q&A piece. And of course, while we're doing that, just remember to scan the little QR code. I believe it's in that corner and leave your Telegram there. And our team will be in touch with some smart money addresses that we find really interesting.
So does sub to a yearly professional automatically get us into the alpha group? Charlie, I'll let you take this one.
Yeah, of course. So we tend to let in the best of the best into alpha. So we do accept people when a majority of people that do apply for it. However, we do really just want to work with sophisticated investors, given that that is the audience of people within the community. So we do deny some folks, and if you did like pay for a subscription and we denied you, we would then look to refund you, so you're not missing out on anything there. But again, like alpha is a community of where a lot of these smart money investors hang out. So if you want to be surrounded by the industry's best, the annual professional subscription would be best for you. And yeah, we've just dropped a quick link to alpha at the top in the channel there. James, I'll let you take this one.
Yes, I noticed that in the smart money section's drop-down label, you have a much wider selection than I do. My available label choices are limited to only 5 options. So the reason that is because we have access to, let's say, features that aren't released yet. Maybe you even saw that our emojis are slightly different. And this could be due to internal testing that is going on. Basically, what you should see sometime in the future is more access to labels that are available on Nansen. Let's say you move around the platform, you see things like AI expert, meme coin expert, but you go to the smart money dashboard and you can't specifically look for those in the smart money section. Maybe that's something that annoys you. Well, thankfully, in the future, you will be able to access those labels too. So that's why there's a slight difference there.
Yeah, also just to chime in on that, Teddy. So our professional users, they get access to everything that's live on Nansen for 2 weeks before the rest of Nansen does. So what's really quite special about that, though, is Nansen is often the pioneer of bringing a lot of these like analytics products to the market. So often our professional user base can access analytics that are really just cannot be found elsewhere in crypto. So if you're in that 2 week period, often our professional users are going pretty crazy to try to find as much alpha as they possibly can before it gets opened up to a wider audience. Notice a little comments in here. Smart money is now cool money. Love it. How to use hot contracts. Yeah, so believe, James, you covered this, but it is, to quickly summarize again, it's one of our exclusive benefits on the professional subscription plan. So the professional plan gives you complete access to Nansen, and lots of professional users engage with hot contracts to find alpha early on chain. It's often one of the features that displays interesting things, like click of a button, basically. So there's many different ways to use it, and it's based on large inflows and outflows into different contracts. So if you want a quick recap again, it's probably worth just checking in on James's run through that he covered in this webinar.
Yeah, I might add there are more there are more use cases than what I showed. So that is something to keep in mind. That's just the way I'm currently using it, the way I like to approach it.
Yeah, I found quite an interesting workflow on hot contracts a while ago, which was to monitor like outflows of certain certain contracts that might have been due to like vesting cycles. So that was actually a really helpful way for me to discover a bunch of angel investor addresses that would be basically impossible to find elsewhere. So because often like the vested tokens that are received might come from like a multi-sig or some kind of other contract. And if you then see the top recipients from that, if you then see that in that list, there's a bunch of like .eth addresses that might be associated with certain angels and things, it just gives you a list of addresses that might be higher alpha compared to some other address. With all of Nansen's features, there's like 100 different ways to use each feature, but there's so much alpha to find. Also, we've just dropped a link to our main Discord as well. So in our main Discord, we also have fortnightly calls, which are a little bit more like collaborative. You get the chance to engage with us directly as well. You can ask us questions. We often share little teasers of certain features that are coming around the corner. We get feedback from all of you on what you'd love to see. So yeah, come along to those sessions in our Discord. We'd love to catch up with you there. It's a little bit more of like an intimate environment, I guess. Last question we have, can we identify fake coins or large amounts of money holders in the Pioneer plan? Yes, you can. Yes.
I might take this one. If you're trying to trade meme coins, their speed is everything. So for example, 1 hour smart investors may not work very well, since before you see it, the project may already be dead. That is very true. And that's why if you find smart money addresses, you can use our token transfer alerts, which is the first alert that I showed. And that one is immediate. The smart money token flow alert is, we are actually working to get a 5-minute token flow and 15-minute token flow alert. And that's something that should be coming within the next few months to Nansen, and that will help you on that front. With that being said, though, recently my alert going on an hourly time frame has caught some pretty big runners. I believe we caught Jailsu through that alert for 25x, and actually it caught Vine, which I actually personally missed, but it went 90x via that alert. So that was an unfortunate one for me, but it came through my alert system. So I suppose that's the first half of the battle. But yeah, hopefully that's something that might help you understand that the alert still does work, but we will be bringing in lower time frames too.
Yeah, exactly. So you can basically have the same outcome whether you want it instant or whether you want it on like an aggregate on a cadence. So
Yeah.
don't think that you have to wait up to an hour to receive that alert. It can be much, much faster if you set the to field on the transfer alert to be smart money or one specific smart money address like fund. All right. Well, that is a wrap for today. I hope you've all learned something. You can catch up on this again on our YouTube channel under the live section, and we'll continue to do these monthly moving forward. Join our Discord. The link is in the chat, and I'll see you in about 2 weeks for a Nansen Jam session. We can collaborate together live there.
Yes, thank you very much, guys. Definitely get into the Discord. We've Sean, another Alpha community manager, in there, and he's been doing great work recently to really make that something much more useful, especially for our pioneer users, our affiliates. So we're looking forward to building that up as well. Shout out to Sean on that one.
Shout out to Sean. Exactly. All right. Thank you. And all the best for trading on chain in this bloodbath of a market.
Yeah. Thank you very much, guys. All the best.